Can I ask you about another film? Under Milkwood. We've referenced it a little bit, but if I could talk about Under Milkwood, because it's, it was one of those seminal moments, isn't it? You've got Richard Burton coming back with Elizabeth Taylor. It's got Ryan in it, you're in it, David Jason is in it. Again, what was it like, in Fishguard, recreating this Welsh epic? What was it like being a part of that production, a part of that company?
That was terrific again. I can't remember how I got it now. I just think I was asked to do it. Mrs. Dybread too. I'd already done it in the Mayfair Theatre in London with Philip playing narrator. And he was doing Enemy at the Door at the time. Anyway, I got offered Mrs. Dybread too, which is a great part. Mm. And we had, oh God, it was funny, some of it. Ray Smith, I will never forget Ray Smith. At 2:00 in the morning, we were doing a night shoot. This was Lower Fishguard now. And saying, "Get out my way, Ruth. The camera's favouring me. I said, "No, bugger off," because it was pouring down rain, and it was like 3:00 in the morning. Who the hell cared what the camera was doing? But it was good fun. It was great fun. And I met Olwyn there, and David Jason I knew because I just finished this production at the Mayfair with David Jason playing No Good Boyo in it. Mm. So I knew David very well. What about
Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor? Peter O'Toole as well? Did they mix with the rest of the company, or were they Hollywood stars?
We didn't see them because they did most of their stuff in a closed set in London. We saw Ryan. Ryan came down.
Yeah. I think O'Toole was there because Olwyn said that she used to see him in the morning and he'd had a right bender the night before, as we know he liked the juice. And then his what did she tell me? Oh, his valet would mix him this concoction with like wheat germ and milk and vodka and God knows what, and he'd whop that down and he'd be word perfect. So he must have been there at the time Olwyn was there, Can
I just say before we move on, if you can get that recipe, Johnny, from Olwyn, I think it'll serve us all well during the rest of lockdown. That'll be good.
You said about Ryan. Well, Ryan, Olwyn tells me that one night they would have a bit of a sing-song in the pub afterwards. And so Ryan says to Olwyn, let's sing a Welsh, let's show him up. Let's, all this lot, this show busy lot, we'll sing a Welsh song, see? Whoever the MD was, I don't know who the MD was, they booked her to sing the song as the titles go up.
Blentyn ar fy mynwys clyd a chynnes ydyw hon.
Olwyn has always had a wonderful voice, as you know, and I am one of her great fans. In fact, I actually got her a job.
You did, in Edinburgh.
We had to go up to Scotland for Hogmanay.
Yeah, we were doing panto in Cardiff. I remember we were rehearsing. I was in it as well. I think it was Robinson Crusoe or something. And you asked her to do this because they wanted 4 Celts. They had the Irish guy was what was the Irish guy? Brendan Shine, and they had a Scottish comic and Andy Stewart. And they wanted a girl to sing a Welsh song, and you recommended Olwyn, I remember. They flew her in a Learjet because she had to be back to do the performance in the Cardiff panto.
That's right. This is what mates are for. You actually say, right, I can't do that, you do it.
That's right, yeah.
We have skirted around Heidi High. We will come to that before we finish, if that's okay with you. But, just looking at the whole of your career, things like Pickwick. Now then, I know the both of you knew Sir Harry very well. Pickwick was actually written for Sir Harry. Is that right, Ruth?
Yes, it was. They went to Harry and said, "You really got to do this," and it was written for Harry. But many years ago, before I did that production, he used to be able to do a cartwheel. He came on stage as Mr. Pickwick with a cartwheel, which he could do in the 1960s. When I met up with him in the 1990s, he couldn't do that, bless him.
It still hit those high notes, though, couldn't he?
Oh, one of the most thrilling things of my career is to stand at the side of Sir Harry and hear him sing, "If I Ruled the World," and then that clarion call of a note at the end of it, which was a top C.
Wow.
And that was 75.
You were at Queen Rat that year, weren't you?
Yeah, it was.
Because I remember I came up and did something for you when they were.
That's right,
I don't know
you did.
was that the ball? You had your inauguration.
Yes, that was the ball that we always used to hold. Very, very big thing at the Grove. At least
That's
about
right. Yeah.
4,000 people there. There were great people in that order. It's like the Water Rats. It's the female part of the Water Rats. I went into it in 1980, the order. And they were amazing. You sit down after lodge and you talk to them. And that's the most interesting. That's what a lot of people that belong to the Water Rats say. It's the after chat, which is great.
So you could be sharing a table with somebody who did lots of different types of stuff. Variety in those days meant everything, didn't it?
Well, everybody had to be versatile. You had, and that's why I've lasted, I think. And that's why, I was, until my accident 2 years ago now, I mean, I was doing a musical play. And I was, 75?
Were you in Ireland when you had your accident?
I was in the Bord Gosh, which is this 2,000-seater in Ireland. And, there we are.
Did you fall off stage? Is that right? Or did you fall over on
No,
stage?
I fell on stage and I tripped. And unfortunately, the stage was made of wood and steel. So there was no give in the wood.
No.
And it was also on a huge rake. So I fell from the top of the rake to the bottom of the rake.
Wow.
And it was big, the rake.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. But there you go. I don't dwell on that. Purely because it's not worth it.
No,
and I've got steels all right down my right side, and I'll just carry on.
You're made of steel, Ruthie.
You made us
Exactly. They can say that of me now. I'll just carry on. I hobble a bit, but I'm fine, and I will be fine because you've got to have an attitude to these things that is positive, and you've got to do that. That's the one thing I've learned in life.
Yes. We've talked to Johnny and we talked to people like Mike Doyle about big moments in their lives, something that changes their lives. And with Johnny, it was Opportunity Knocks. Hi-de-hi. Now, obviously, you'd worked, we found out, you'd done all these different things. How did you hear about Hi-de-hi? Is it something you'd heard about in the industry, or did somebody give you a call? How did it come about?
Well, I'd worked for Jimmy Perry in Watford Rep. And I'd done quite a few productions for him. And one day he phoned me, and he was always phoning me, bless him, and his wife, and, and I kept in contact. And he'd written Ain't Half Hot. And he'd used a Welsh actor, obviously Windsor, and it worked very well. So he phoned me, he said, Ruth, I'm going to do, at least I've submitted it, he said, to Bill Cotton in the BBC, and it's called Hi-de-hi. I said, I see. Well, what's all that about then? And he said, well, it's about a holiday camp. Oh, I said. Oh. He said, and there's a part in it, he said, of the of one of the yellow coats. And she's a supervisor of all the yellow coats. And she thinks she's slightly above herself. Would you like to come and meet David Croft? So I said, all right then. Well, as it happened, I was doing Under Milkwood with all the luminaries from Wales, including, again, Ray Smith was in it, Alvin Thomas, and we were doing it at St. Charles's Church.
Oh, yeah, Charles Street. That was the rehearsal place in Charles Street, yeah.
That's right, and we were doing it there. So anyway, I had to get the train up, didn't I? to London, went up. I said, "Oh, hello, Mr. Croft, how are you?" You know, and all this business. He said, "Do you all talk like that?" I said, "Yeah, well, you know, no, well, I might temper my Welsh accent." He said, "Oh, you can temper it, can you?" "I know you can temper it, because you weren't like that in one of his pantomimes." I'm talking about Jimmy's pantos. He said, "I think you'd be very good in this part. Would you like to read a script?" So I said, I thought he meant there and then read a scene with him. And he didn't. He said, "There we are, go away and look at it and tell me what you think of it." So I did. And it was very good. It was the first episode. I was 38 at the time. And obviously, Simon Cadell was only about under 30. And she was going to make up to him. So I thought, right, that I can hang something on that. So I made a sort of sexy, slightly over the top sexy, did it that way. I didn't quite know what to do. Anyway, they liked it and they didn't stop me from doing it. So that was the end of that.
Do you remember? I think I was up doing something near you. I think I must have done a thing with Windsor David. And you were going to Wales to do a Poems and Pints, and I had all with it, and we gave you a lift back to Cardiff, I remember, and you told us, you said, "Well, I've just done this pilot. I don't know if anything's going to come of it," you said, "but it was okay. I enjoyed it." And it was huge. It became huge.
It became huge overnight.
Yeah.
It was extraordinary. It really, really was extraordinary. You'd go onto a train the next day and they go, "Oh, it's that woman that we saw last night." And of course, there were no, I was very lucky. There were no Welsh comedy people on national television at that particular point.
How long did that Runaway Train run for? How many years were you involved in the production?
9 years.
9 years.
Wow.
My daughter Lowry was at infant school. By the time we finished, she was ready to go to university.
And again, a lovely company. They seemed like a lovely bunch. To stay together that long. If you hate each other, it would have been hell. Was it fun?
Yes, it was. Yes. And even now, I bring Pollard up. I mean, there aren't very many of us left. That's the sad thing. There's Jeff Holland, myself, and a couple of the Yellow Coat girls, and Pollard, and that's it. So we do keep in touch, especially now because they're living in London. Most of them. So I keep in touch to see if they're okay. Pollard's fine.
I remember doing a panto with Ted Rogers, and they were thinking of having Sue Pollard. He said, "You can't have her; she's lethal." That's what he said. She's lethal.
I've seen her being lethal with a handbag. God,
Yeah.
she is funny, but she can be a menace.
When you ride that train, when it comes to an end, was it hard to let it go? Was it, did it feel like the end of an era?
Well, I knew exactly when it was going to happen. 4 years previous to it, when Simon told me that he was going to leave, he asked me not to say anything to anybody, and I didn't. I didn't say a word. So when he said he was going to leave, everybody went, "Oh dear, Ruth, are you going to leave with him?" And all this. I said, "No, carry on. If they'll have me."
Yeah.
And they did,
Yeah.
That was the end of that, I do have to say that, it's been a great piece to do. I've been so lucky. I did Fiddler, which was a great musical. I did Milkwood, Perfect Pearl of Literature, and Heidi High, which to this day is still loved and is on UK Gold or whatever it is.
I think you must be the most impersonated Welsh person, because whenever anybody says, "Heidi, hi," it's always you. They always do.
I know. The best one that could do Gladys, would you believe, Lenny Henry.
Oh, wow.
No.
Did
It's been a real joy speaking to you and getting all the other stories as well. What does the future hold for you? You're back home now, living in Gleneath, not far from our Max, just down the road from Max. Are you planning on working again, or is this lockdown, working from Zoom, working well for you, well enough?
Well, I have to say it's working well for me. I mean, there are things that have come into my path, actually, Mal, but when are we going to get back into the theatre? Yeah. When are we going to? I doubt whether it's going to be this year. You know, it's hit the business so badly, and I get all my friends, my young friends in the business, ringing up, and they're crying down the phone. But it's not only the fact that they're not earning money; it's the fact that they're not developing their art. Because every job you do, you develop, especially when you're young. And they're not, and they're having to sort of fill up shelves in Waitrose or wherever they are, you know. And I say but be proud of the fact that you're filling up shelves in Waitrose, because you might have to play a character like that one day.
That's right. You learn from everybody.
Yeah.
You know, so you just have to wear it. And I'm just hoping that I will see, and I'll be able to go and see my friends in the theatre. But I mean, I shall do film, and I shall do, hopefully, television, and I shall do some radio. I mean, I have to say this is great, all this business about Zoom. It's fantastic. It really is. Really good fun.
I've been busier since lockdown than I was before, because I'm talking on the radio.
No, we do it every week.
It's great though, isn't it, Mal?
Yeah.
You know, it really, really is.
And the lovely thing about podcasts are that you're able to explore it, not that 5 minutes, here you are, thank you very much, gone. It's a chance to have a little bit more to shoot the breeze, as Johnny would say. So thank you. Well, on behalf of Mr. Johnny Tudor and the Mal and Johnny Show, can I just say thank you very much to Ruth Madoc for joining us today from Gleneath. And lovely to hear all of your stories. So it's goodbye from him.
And it's goodbye from him, and it's goodbye from Ruthie. I'll see you soon.
Goodbye from me.
See you soon, Ruthie.
Bye.
Bye.